What's up, guys? It's James. So, in this video, we're going to be talking about closing costs and some of the questions that we get asked all the time with regarding to closing costs and trying to help you guys understand, what goes into closing costs, all right, when buying a home. Another thing that we're going to be reviewing is pretty much the statement, which is the closing cost statement when you guys do end up buying a home, and just so then you can have an idea of what's in it and what's not in it. All right. So what I have here is pretty much a initial CD loan disclosure. Okay. So pretty much it's a loan disclosure. This loan disclosure is sent out by the lender to the borrower as an initial way, like a formal way of doing business and contract, just letting them know, like, hey, listen, this is a really, really rough estimate, and nothing is finalized until pretty much a week before you guys close. And the reason why is because they'll send out this final document to title, and then title would calculate everything. Like, for example, they'll calculate taxes, they'll calculate pretty much everything that you need to know about how much you're going to be paying. They'll calculate like who owes what and all the fees, like the escrow fees and all that fun stuff. So we're going to go over quite a bit of this document right here of the closing costs. And then what we're going to do also as well in this video is we're going to just review some of the common asked questions regarding about closing costs. All right. So let's review how much is closing costs. Okay, so normally, typically, closing costs is between 2 to 3% of the purchase price of the house. It's normally cover a couple of things, right? For example, if you're buying a house in the 300 to 600,000, just budget for about $6,000. Well, if you're buying a house for 600,000, just budget about 12,000. Okay, times it by 2%. Okay, times it by 2%. Okay, and then from there, what do closing costs include, right? So there's a lot of stuff that is include, and we'll go through that in this loan document right here. But essentially, the closing costs, it includes, like, for example, like origination fees. If you want to buy discount points, so if you want to reduce your interest rate, you can use that, put it into closing costs. Appraisal fee, title search, title insurance, taxes. On here it says survey, so if the house or the property need additional survey, title, recording deeds, prepaids, pretty much everything that's involved in just the final documentations of the property. Okay, on here we get they ask us quite a bit, like, can we avoid paying closing costs? And the question is that you can't avoid paid closing costs. The thing is that the thing with closing costs is that you can reduce your closing cost amount or just finance it into the loan if the property appraised for a higher amount. Okay, or you can write it in your contract stating that the seller pays for all of closing costs, or seller to credit buyer $10,000 or $5,000 credit toward closing costs. So you can do that, all right, just to reduce your closing costs and your money out of pocket in the beginning. Okay. Does closing costs include down payment? No, closing costs does not include down payment. It's just down payment is separate from closing costs. All right. Does closing costs go toward your mortgage? No, closing costs does not go toward your mortgage. What is due at closing costs? We'll go through that section. Can I use credit card for closing costs? On here it says yes. You can use credit card for pretty much anything, but you don't want to. The thing is you want to be careful with using credit card, because you don't want your debt to income or your debt to credit limit exceed a certain amount that would reduce your credit score. So those are key areas that you want to watch out for, and do talk to your real estate agents and your lender. That's why you have to have a really good team, okay, to be able to help articulate and explain all this stuff. How do I calculate my closing costs as a seller? So normally seller, right, their closing cost is pretty simple. it's all based on what is written under the purchase and sales agreement contract. So when somebody purchases, it really depends on what the buyer asks, right? And then on top of that, most of the time, seller closing costs are pretty much just is their fees, right? Their listing fees to list the house. So you can see here. And then if you want to split like escrow, like normal people, escrow fees, just incorporate like maybe like $1,000 or $2,000 into all of the whole package. See like county transfer tax, like that is negotiated, right, into the contract. Like who pays the county transfer tax, who pay the title insurance, right? And escrow fees, like normally it's 50-50, but it's all written under the contract. But the most important thing is the real estate commission. Those are the big ticket items that you want to like focus on. Okay. And then of course we'll go through that. Can closing cost be financed? Of course it can be financed. It just has to be appraised. The property has to appraise, and you want to give the purchase price to the appraisal first before you incorporate closing costs to be financed. So then the appraiser will know how much you're buying the property for. Therefore, it'll be easier for them to appraise the property at the value of what the buyer is buying the property for. Okay. So are there escrow fees in part? Yes, there's fees. So how much closing cost is a $400,000 house? If you're buying a $400,000 house, you're looking around like $9,000, depending if you're buying a used home or a brand new construction, right? Normally, for a $400,000 house, you have to pay taxes and all that stuff. Just budget $9,000. That's what I would say. But over here, they give you a range because depending on what type of lender you use, some lender charge like finder fees, and they tacked on that toward closing costs and all that fun stuff. So you want to make sure to like figure that section out also as well. Okay. Understanding the type of lender that you use, and a good real estate agent will be able to help you with that. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive into kind of like the statement. Okay. So this is the statement, kind of like the CD of closing costs, and you'll see here like the loan amount, the interest rate, your monthly principal, and then your taxes. Okay. You'll see here that your closing cost would be that much, and then your cash to close would be, cash to close is how much cash do you need to bring when it's time for you to close. Okay. And then this closing cost is estimated pretty high. Normally it should be around $9,000, and then we can kind of go through all this. So this is the initial like disclosure when a client first applied for a loan, and then they submit it to underwriting for a direct underwriting. Okay. Just to get it more legal formalized. All right. And sometimes, a lot of times, sellers, they want a direct underwritten loan approval versus just a pre-approval. Okay. So somebody like an underwriter team pretty much commit to the loan. Okay. So anyways, a loan, so you'll see all the costs, right? Like origination costs, like loan charges, processing fees, underwriting fees, transfer fees. So most of this stuff, it really depends on like the lender, and how much they charge, right? With regard to these fees. Some lenders, they don't charge any, some lenders they do. But at the end of the day, it all balances itself out. Okay. Appraisal fee, and then appraisal reinspection fee. So those are like the stuff that like that is just added on. But during the final report, there's appraisal is normally like $500 to $600 depending on where you live. And then there's title fees, insurance, and all that fun stuff, right? It all adds up. Okay, and all of this right here is just pretty much will be finalized by escrow and also the lender. Okay, escrow is the title company. Okay, and then other fees that you'll see here is like recording fees. Like this is like government stuff, right? Taxes and all that fun stuff. So recording fees. So these are pretty much like estimates. So when you receive this from a lender initially, it's just pretty much estimate, guessed. When you receive this document from the title people, which is from escrow, those are more accurate because title would have accurate information from lender, and then they will have more accurate information from the fees, okay, like government fees. So then you'll go here and you'll see quite a bit of stuff, like home insurance. So you pay home insurance, you pay taxes, there's prepaid interest also as well. There's home and all this stuff that's added on into your closing costs, right? So it keeps scrolling down, and then everything's all add up, right, to $13,000. Again, there's roughly around, $3,000 to $4,000 worth of like added stuff in here that isn't that should be taken away. And because this is just the lender side of the picture, most of the stuff will be taken away. Okay. And then you'll see here kind of like a breakdown of like how much they've already put down. Okay. Total closing cost is that much. Down payment, like how much is the client putting down? So they're putting down like 5% of the house. And then the earnest money, they deposited, $3,000 earnest, and then seller credit, how much did they credit? Like $5,000 credit, right? And then after everything's set to be done, you'll see pretty much what the final amount is, which is how much money do you need to bring when it comes down to the closing table, okay? And then this sheet right here is pretty much a summarized sheet of pretty much everything that you need to know from the top, okay? And then yeah, no, that is pretty much everything with regarding about that closing costs, everything you need to know about closing costs. And you want to budget for closing costs, okay? It's very important. If you don't have resources, that's why it's very important for you to communicate like your financial like resources with your real estate agent, so then they can help guide you in the right direction, okay? Because a lot of times, these stuff, if the buyer agent or the seller agents don't understand your financial situation, they can't really help you as much. So it's best to be transparent, to trust them, so then they can help guide you. So anyways, hopefully this video will help. If you guys have any questions, reach out to your local lender, send us a quick message, or send us drop us a comment or whatever. We'll love to help you out. So hopefully this video will help you guys out and understand a little bit about closing costs and all that, fees and all that fun stuff. So anyways, this is James. Hopefully you enjoy the video. Peace and love.